This is the story of a man who proved everyone wrong, especially his adoptive father. Larry Ellison, an orphan from the Bronx, was told by the man who raised him that he would be good for nothing. Instead, he channeled a painful childhood into an obsession to win, building a $300 billion empire from the ground up. He founded Oracle in 1977 with just $2,000, eventually becoming, if only for a moment in September 2025, the world's richest person. But he didn't just build a company, he built a machine designed specifically to trap its customers. So how did Oracle become so inescapable? The genius wasn't just in creating the first commercial relational database back in 1979, which was revolutionary in itself. The true brilliance was in the business model, vendor lock-in. Once a company built its systems on Oracle's database, the cost and complexity of switching to a competitor became economically impossible. This created an asset-light model with incredibly high margins and a predictable river of cash from recurring licensing and maintenance fees. For 4 decades, Oracle became the undisputed landlord of corporate data, and every year, hundreds of thousands of companies paid their rent. But after 40 years of dominance, the fortress walls that protected Oracle began to crumble. A disruption that Ellison didn't see coming, or perhaps chose to ignore, was taking over the tech world: cloud computing. The cloud, along with powerful open-source alternatives, threatened Oracle's entire traditional database business. While competitors like Amazon's AWS, Microsoft's Azure, and Google's GCP moved first and fast, Ellison initially mocked the cloud. This left Oracle dangerously late to the game, playing catch-up in a world it no longer dominated. By 2024, the company that once seemed invincible desperately needed a new story to tell Wall Street. And that's when Larry Ellison, at nearly 80 years old, decided to bet everything on a new strategy. He saw the explosion in artificial intelligence as his next great opportunity, pivoting the company to become the new landlord of the AI age. The plan was to build massive data centers to host the most demanding AI services. The key to this strategy was a landmark partnership with OpenAI, known as the Stargate project. The market was euphoric. In September 2025, Oracle's stock surged so high that Ellison briefly became the richest person in the world. With over $100 billion committed to this AI infrastructure build-out, it seemed Oracle had finally found its next powerful growth engine. But here's where the story takes a dark turn, because ambition this large comes with a colossal price tag. To fund this massive build-out, Oracle took on a staggering $108 billion in debt. And that's just the number on the official balance sheet. There's another $250 billion, $248 billion, in off-balance sheet lease commitments, which are contractual obligations to pay for data centers down the road. The spending was breathtaking. In the first half of fiscal 2026 alone, capital expenditures hit $16.4 billion. This unprecedented cash burn turned their free cash flow negative, a shocking reversal for a company built on predictable profits. To keep the lights on, they started issuing billions in bonds and are planning to raise up to $50 billion more in 2026, pushing their credit rating dangerously close to junk status. Ellison had thrown out the playbook that worked for 40 years, gambling the entire company on a high-cost, uncertain future in AI infrastructure. By December of 2025, the market's euphoria had turned into fear. Reality set in. The promised AI revenue simply wasn't materializing as quickly as the mountains of cash being spent. Investors panicked, and Oracle's stock collapsed over 30% in its steepest drop in more than 2 decades. In a single quarter, $80 billion of market value vanished into thin air. Then, in March 2026, the cracks in the strategy became undeniable when Oracle and OpenAI announced they were abandoning a flagship data center expansion in Texas. Bondholders who thought they were buying stable software debt realized they'd funded a risky infrastructure play, and some began filing lawsuits. The financial markets are now pricing in a real possibility of default, with the cost to insure against Oracle's debt tripling in just a few months. And this brings us to the ultimate irony of Larry Ellison's story. The man who perfected the art of lock-in, trapping his customers in inescapable contracts, has now locked himself into over $100 billion of infrastructure commitments with no easy way out. His original model was genius because it was asset-light and generated high-margin, predictable cash flow. This new model is the exact opposite. It's capital-intensive, has thin margins, and faces brutal competition. Worst of all, Oracle's entire future now hinges on the success of a single partner, OpenAI, a factor completely outside of Ellison's control. It's a classic tale of a master of one game trying to play a completely different one and discovering the old rules no longer apply. The question now is, can he escape the trap he built for himself, or is this the final, miscalculated gamble for one of Silicon Valley's last true samurai?